Good morning. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Chaplain Jim Koszewski at Magnolia Trace in Alabama. Today I want to look at a passage briefly from Matthew chapter 11. Jesus said this in verses 28 to 30. "Come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." We all become weary at times in our journey. It's easy to get bogged down with so many responsibilities, so many different things that are coming at you from every direction. Family needs, your own needs, people around you are hammering on you for things, doctor's appointments. After a while, you can get wearied by all these things. But Jesus wants us to come to him that we might find rest in our weariness. He is there for us. In ancient Athens, there was a man who was jeering, at Aesop, because Aesop was playing with some kids and having a good time laughing with them. He said, "How can you be so frivolous with all the things that you have to do?" Well, Aesop didn't say anything. He just went over and took a bow, unstrung it, and laid it out on the ground. He asked the Athenian who was making fun of him what that meant. Well, he had no idea. So Aesop told him, "If you keep the bow strung and taut, it may break. But if you loosen it, it will be good for another use, and it will be more useful." So at times we need to loosen the strings in our weariness and learn to rest. Jesus said, "Take my yoke upon you and learn of me." Oxen are teamed together. Usually there is a young oxen teamed with an older, more experienced oxen. Why do they do this? So that the young oxen will learn how to do it. And usually the older, more experienced oxen will do most of the pulling at first, pulling the other oxen along, and hopefully the other oxen will begin to take up his part in the plowing or whatever they're doing. So it is when we become yoked to Jesus. He is the lead oxen. He is the one who really will do all the work. All we have to do is be willing to go along and be available and be what we can, but depend on him to do the rest of the work. He also said, "I will give you rest." Rest. We know in creation, Jesus taught us, or God taught us, that you rest one day. You take time. When Jesus was with his disciples, he often would take them apart. As somebody said, if you don't come apart and rest, you will come apart from the seams out of overwork. So we all need those periods of rest. We need to unloosen the bowstring. We need to allow ourselves to be yoked to Jesus and let him do the work. His promises are for us. If we are lacking strength, he tells us we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. If we've lost our way, we have a promise that if we trust in the Lord with all our hearts and lean not into our own understanding, in all our ways acknowledge him, and he will direct our paths. So there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to relax, trust in the Lord, and find those periods of rest so that we can be at our best. One last story. There's a contest between two men on how many trees they could chop down. Well, the one man was working feverishly, chopping all day long. The other man took periods of rest, took lunch, and took some periods when he sat down and rested. At the end of the day, the one who was working so hard couldn't understand how this man could cut down more trees than he did because he had been resting. Well, the man who cut down most of the trees, or more trees, said, "If you noticed when I was resting, I was sharpening the axe." When we rest, we trust in the Lord, we're sharpening our axe so that we can be more productive. So as Jesus said, let us find rest in him. Take his yoke upon us and learn of me, that you may find rest for your souls. Thank you for listening today, and I pray that you will find those periods of rest as you come to Jesus and trust him.